So on July 4th, I was awakened by my wife, who saw the flooding on a news channel and showed it to me. And my first response was, oh my goodness, where is this happening? And it was happening in Kerrville.
Breaking news here in Texas, deadly flooding in Kerr County.
Deadly flooding in the Texas Hill Country.
No one knew this kind of flood was coming.
The velocity of this flood seemed different to me than anything else we've seen, certainly through my lifetime.
Over the last 12 to 18 hours, a foot of rain has fallen.
The Guadalupe River reaching 26 feet high.
Homes and cars have been washed away. Multiple rescues continue.
I'm 91, and so I don't have the strength anymore. And what's going through my mind is, let me hang on here.
It's not anything that I would have ever in a million years thought would have happened.
La verdad, fue una experiencia. Es triste lo que pasamos, muy triste.
This water came and took lives, took homes, and we were just really bracing for the worst.
And all the homes along the river here had just devastation and pretty heavy impacts. Completely changed their lives from that day moving forward.
After a tragedy, you hear stories from people who are affected, you see the devastating pictures and video, but you don't often hear the long-term recovery and the progress that's made to help people rebuild.
Everybody just went into action mode. To see people just step up all over the place in all kinds of ways has been very heartening in a tough, chaotic moment.
Right now at 5, we're hard at work raising money for the victims of that catastrophic flood, and you can help.
We raised a lot of money to help Central Texas, and this is our opportunity to show people how their dollars are being spent.
We're gonna rebuild buildings, and we're gonna come back strong. But where we're gonna be really strong is in our community ties with one another.
All right, I'm gonna give you a big job.
Oh my.
So
Colin.
watch your fingers, first of all, and just, clap it.
When do I do it? Oh.
Right now.
Hey now. Now what do I do with the damn thing?
Nailed it. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'm Annette Dixon. I come down here all the way from Minnesota, and this is my husband, Gary. Take it away, Gary.
I'm allowed to speak once in a while. So, yeah, let's see. It was back in 65 years ago. I crashed a party, and she just came in from work. And we sat there and we talked to about 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, I had a date with her the following day and I proposed. It's 65 years ago.
What's your message to new couples? What's the secret?
Commitment. No matter what happens, you're together.
Yeah, no matter what, it's hard work. Mm-hmm. It's really hard work.
It's also a lot of fun, though. We laugh every day.
I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I looked out the front window, and it was raining. No water accumulation, so I went back to bed. Annette got up around 5:15, and she walked out. She said, Gary, the street's flooded, and we have emergency vehicles out here. There's a pounding on the door, and it's an EMT saying, come on, you've got to go. And I said, can I get my wallet? He said, no, you got to go now. Walked out the side door there, down the stairs, and the water was up to my chest.
Yeah, we thought, oh, the water's right here. But we forgot there's 4 steps down.
And
each step took us deeper in the water.
He hung on to us, and thank God he did. And there's no truth that she was reaching around trying to stuck my head under the water.
The water in here probably came up to a little above the windows, enough to wreck the windows as well. And we had just replaced the windows like a couple years before. but they were ruined by the water, and that was the worst water I have ever seen. So dirty.
The water came up through the
vents in
vents
the floor.
In the floor and cracks in the floor.
That was very eerie.
And it came up, and as I said, it just came up high enough to ruin everything.
It was just like, here we are, and what's going to happen next? And we were worried at that point, how are we going to do all this? You know, and it was just like God said, trust me.
Todavía veo las fotos, videos y no lo superamos. Es muy triste.
This is the second of 2 weekends honoring Jane Ragsdale, the beloved director of Heart of the Hills Camp for Girls in Kerr County. That camp was not in session during the catastrophic July 4th flash flood, but Jane was there and she died.
Ahí en el campamento vivimos cosas tan maravillosas, tan bonitas, porque ella, mi patrona, nos recibió como su propia familia. No quiero que se me olvide, no quiero todo lo que ella me dio, y por eso hoy me puse su playera de ella. Porque no, significa mucho esto para mí, el campamento y su nombre de ella. ¿Dónde voy a vivir? ¿Dónde voy a meter a mi hija, a mi nietita? O sea, ¿qué voy a hacer? Es cuando se me redumbó mi mundo.
It's a small river with very clean, pure water. Jonathan Letts. I'm a retired county commissioner, and I'm chair of the River Riparian Recovery Group. Huge area, and the volume of water, it's just hard to comprehend how much water is moving through this area. In here, you'll also see a lot of debris, a lot of asphalt pieces. There was a huge amount of plastics and glass, paper, parts of vehicles, parts of RVs. You know, are still cleaning that up. A whole lot of that has gone through very carefully. And a lot of that cleanup has taken place, but there's still more. It started out as just a grassy, pretty area, and it just got destroyed by the flood. The cypress trees along the river, quite a few of them got ripped out completely. But you can see the scarring of the river right here. Another big cypress tree right here, it's gone. When it came out, that root ball was just drugged through the ground and made the ditches. I mean, one of the things you see on this cypress tree right here, the bark is just stripped off of it. And that takes a huge amount of force for that to happen. So down below, you can see trees that did not survive. Probably that was a cypress tree that was cut off there. The tragedy to the community and certainly to the families that lost loved ones it's hard to even comprehend. But healing the river, we feel, will help maybe these people hopefully heal themselves.
Yeah, the bubbles. You want to play? Oh, we went to school together.
Oh. We were just talking, you know, as friends, and then I don't know, we started hanging out and we just didn't stop.
Take it out. Bubbles.
My name is Priscilla Angeles, and my family, my husband is Tabor Ruiz, and we have 2 kids. This here is the bridge, and our house is just, I want to say, a few hundred feet away. That morning, it was about 6 a.m. when we started hearing alarms, like sirens and lights. Very scary. All we did was basically grab formula, grab diapers, and we left our house with the lights still on.
Couldn't see much other than the water that was almost to My car that's outside is pretty much at the front tires. So.
I left crying just because we are first time homeowners. You know, we hadn't been at the house not even a year. And I just thought to myself, God, please, you know, protect, you know, the other families and neighbors and protect our home because this is all we have. Once we got here, you know, all we really saw was the debris of, you know, what the water had brought in.
Our laundry room had a whole bunch of mud in it, so I assumed that, you know, water had gotten inside.
At that moment, that was like the only thing we had noticed that was damaged. And so we thought, you know, thank God our house is okay. Nothing to worry about. A few days later, we noticed that our flooring was starting to swell. The insulation had sucked up the water in our walls. And so they were like, we need to tear all of this down. You know, we need to remove all of this because mold is going to start forming quickly. We were like, now what? What do we do? You know, unfortunately, we did not have flood insurance.
We were just worried for our kids and, you know, what would happen to our home that, you know, at the time, we had only owned it for less than a year.
No one handed us a house, you know, we had to work for it. And so just the thought, you know, it's the place where our kids were going to grow up, you know, was just now like, well, it's damaged and no, and insurance can't help. So figure it out.
Okay.
We're having meatloaf, which is by far one of the favorites. I say this is our happy place, that when you walk in the door, it is happy. Everybody's happy. Everybody's excited to be here. We are at the Dietert Center, which is a community center started 56 years ago to be a gathering place for seniors to get out of their homes and not be so isolated. This picture here will show you how we were surrounded with water. I knew the Dietert Center had been flooded. I didn't know how bad the damage was. We walked through the building and we had probably 6 to 8 inches of water throughout our whole 20,000 square feet. There's little minnows that were going through in the water. I was devastated of what was gonna happen because I knew we were gonna have a big cleanup to do. We deliver close to 300 meals a day in our Meals on Wheels program, which equates out to over 71,000 meals a year. Fortunately, we got to the kitchen, all of our equipment is up on risers in there. So, and we have floor drains. So when I walked in there, it was just mud because the water had all drained out and none of our equipment was ruined. And so we're real proud to say that we only did not deliver one day during this whole time. It was trying to determine how we continue to run our business and keep my staff employed. It impacted all of our seniors that came here because their life was going to change because they were not going to be able to come back here unless we got off the stick and really got busy to try to get this building back in order.
We are back with our Tegna, Texas Flood Relief Telethon, holding phone banks with our sister station there in Houston to raise money for the nonprofits providing support in flood-impacted areas.
I have gotten questions, well, where is this money going and how is it being spent? All the dollars we raise will go directly to the organizations providing the relief and support for the people who've been impacted the hardest. My name is Ryan Wood. I'm the Director of Community Impact here at WFAA. When we saw the destruction and devastation that was happening in Central Texas with the flooding, we knew we wanted to do something to help because we knew our audience wanted to help. And fortunately, we have a great partnership with the Communities Foundation of Texas. And within 36 hours, we were able to spin up our own charitable fund. And that's where people were able to donate what became over $1 million that we then granted to nonprofits providing support.
My name is Jane Zirkle. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at the Community Foundation and been here about 15 years. There were 4 of us in our office when the flood hit on July 4th. And we had a lot of volunteers that poured in very quickly because they knew, friends of ours, they knew we were going to need help. So we realized on the 4th of July that there was an issue. We didn't know exactly what it was. We knew there was damage. We knew there had been a lot of flooding, that we needed to be ready. We're at about $150 million that has been donated to our Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. That was set up the very first day, 9:48 a.m. on July 4th. We were inundated. At one point, there were 3 donations per second for about a 48-hour period, I believe. It brought in $30 million in that first week. We were overwhelmed by the generosity of folks who knew us and those who did not know us. It came from all over the U.S., all over the world. It is our job at the Community Foundation to carefully steward donor dollars. We want them to work as hard as they can, and we try to leverage those and partner with people that can make those dollars go as far as possible. Because we know that the more those dollars work, the harder those dollars work, the more people will be helped in our community.
Not long after the floods, there was an overwhelming response to support the recovery. And having that money is great, but you need a coordinated effort to make sure that that money is being used effectively and wisely.
As a person, it's probably the most rewarding work I've ever done in my 53 years. My name is Todd Bach. I'm the Executive Director of the Kerrville Economic Development Corporation. I took on the role as Executive Director of Kerr EDC July 1st, 2025. Phone started ringing, people reaching out, started to assess the magnitude and the scale of this flood was nothing like any of us have ever experienced before or were prepared for. And so the reaction was immediate. One of the first things that I was tasked to do was start securing warehousing all across the counties. Kerr County was inundated with blessings of supplies, surplus supplies, anything and everything you could imagine. Part of that role and what we were doing is trying to manage and organize those resources that were coming in.
Having a warehouse like that, where it's easy for people to come and get the supplies they need, helps reduce the stress of having to go through this recovery process. You don't have to worry about shipping delays. You don't have to worry about finding the right store or vendor to get the supplies. Everything you need is in this one warehouse.
When there a need is arise, we contact Jim, and Jim has that warehouse inventoried in order for them to say, hey, yeah, we've got this. And they're also picking up additional supplies that continue to be donated to the efforts, as well as they have the ability to deliver those supplies to those that are in need. We were blessed to have this location that we're in right now, which is the Kerr Together Disaster Relief Center. At the beginning of a disaster, you have a lot of resources scattered all over the community. We have combined all those resources into one location, which would allow those that needed to come get assistance come to one location, and then we could guide them to that resource. By having this facility here, it has kept our volunteer base steady and strong. It keeps us from running all over the county from facility to facility, and the wear and the fatigue and the time and the efficiencies. Having one location, I would encourage all communities across Texas and across the United States, in your long-term planning, identify a location that can be a long-term recovery center during the disaster and after the disaster, because the efficiencies are unmeasurable.
So early on, we realized housing was a main issue that we needed to focus on. Early on, we've pledged $50 million to housing, and we have a number of partners that we're working with locally that are rebuilding homes, remodeling homes. So we're involving lots and lots of local people in this recovery not just a few, but many.
They had to take out everything up to about 2 feet in the house. All the utilities and all the appliances were ruined.
We're gone, yeah.
I got a call from the community foundation saying they have a contractor with Habitat. Would I be interested in dealing with them?
The water came up about 6 feet to my left and about 4 feet to all these homes on the right as well. My name is Jay Eichhoff. I am the Disaster Recovery Construction Manager for Habitat for Humanity. For myself and my family, we were flood victims as well. So prior to moving to the Texas Hill Country, we experienced a hurricane and had over 6 feet of water in our home. So I was very familiar with the process of what it feels like to lose everything of value that you have, to absolutely start from the bottom and start over. Some homes were completely destroyed, and there were only remnants of the homes remaining. Inside most of the homes that we've repaired, it was filled with mold in the home, and we had to come in and help the muck out process. Regardless of how much water is in there, it's very devastating for the people. They lose all their belongings. They lose picture albums, family heirlooms, anything that has value to them specifically. Everybody lost so much just having some of the water in their home. Some of the supports underneath the home were washed away, so we had to come underneath the home and lift the home and reestablish some of those supports, those piers underneath. At the end of the day, from the inside out, it's almost a new home. We take it down to the studs, repair any dead wood or any mold issues, and completely rebuild the home from the bottom up.
And they're just unbelievable. Top quality people in everything they do. Just very considerate, very smart. I couldn't have asked for better help.
I met the Dixons a couple months after the flood came in, had instant rapport with them. They're just amazing Christians and amazing people. Gary was a Marine a while back, and I retired from the Marine Corps as well. So we had a lot of commonalities, and I just love helping or being able to be part of the team that helps great people like that.
Okay, now we are in my wonderful kitchen where I love to cook. Everybody comes in and wants to see the kitchen.
So everything had to be done by code. It had to be legal, and it just did a great job for us. It was wonderful.
I like to come by here and just sit down and spend time with them and just catch up, because they really become family.
Like one day I said, I have to have a ramp. Can you give some thought as to what it would be involved? Next day I had a ramp.
That really is amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. You know, or anything that just wasn't quite right. Boy, they're back to fix that in no time.
And what we do every day, I feel like, has such a purpose. So every day we wake up, we get to go help people try to recover and get back to what their new normal should be.
Every night we sit down and we just say, we're so happy to be here. We're so glad to be back. This has been like a dream home. It's just been wonderful.
Thank God that we're here. And thank God for everybody that's been here to help us and help others.
My name is Mary Campana, and I am the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity Kerr County. We just started to figure out what we could do and how we could adapt and how much could we take on. And we early on were like, we didn't want it to interfere with our regular affordable housing. And so everything we did was going to be in addition to. Our construction team went into action quickly because supply chain and all of that. So they started buying in bulk and getting things into our warehouse as fast as we could.
Another grant went to Habitat for Humanity, who isn't just building a new house for people affected by the floods, they're building an entire new neighborhood of homes.
You're in Habitat's Mariposa community right here. There's going to be 44 homes. Those originally were going to be affordable homes, Habitat homes. But since the disaster, the first 10 are going to be for families that can't build on their land or don't want to because of trauma. And we went from building 5 houses a year to 33. We have this tight-knit community that surrounds Habitat, and it was humbling to me that the willingness of who was willing to help us and how they were willing to step up. And I think the collaboration is what made it work. That's what made the speed, everything go faster. This house right here was adapted for a family that their father is in a wheelchair and he's blind. Because of WFAA money, we were able to hire architects and redo the design of that slab and adapt it to his needs. So if we have these resources and that we have money, we started reinvesting back into the local community and made a decision as an affiliate to only use local subcontractors and local suppliers. So then it's reinvesting back into our local communities. So right now we've reinvested about $2.9 million back into the economy.
La verdad, no tengo palabras. O solo es felicidad y pues todavía no creo que me hayan regalado mi casita.
We're working with families that have suffered loss and trauma and uncertainty. And so by having this extra influx of resources, we're able to adapt to their needs, meet them where they are in their journey, and be able to make changes and adapt to what they need.
Les he dado las gracias de corazón. Estoy agradecida con esas personas.
I think the message is that they're not alone, that the community is coming in and they're willing to help them whatever it takes and wherever they are in their journey of life. I think it gives dignity, it gives pride, and it empowers the homeowners to have part of this healing process. And so I feel like that through the building process that happens.
Significa mucho, porque como le digo, nunca hemos tenido lujos, nunca. Y ahora tener mi casita, decir, es mi casita, podemos poner cualquier cosita, pero, o sea, lo podemos con derecho. Pero me siento feliz y pues orgullosa de que mis niñas, miro su sonrisa, su alegría, y yo con eso soy feliz.
There you go.
Come on.
Yeah, it's over here. Look, hey, your sister wants to play with bubbles too.
Eventually, we did work with FEMA, and then we started working with different organizations. We were working with a case manager. She was mentioning y'all can stay at a hotel during that time. Within this tragedy that was happening, you know, the least thing that we wanted to do was have our kids be basically put in a hotel for who knows how many days.
Home repairs can be unpredictable, and so you don't know when exactly your home is going to be finished. And for people affected by the floods, it could be a struggle for them to find a safe, comfortable place to stay for a long period of time.
You know, nowhere to play, nowhere to basically be as a family. And so a hotel was just not something that I think was gonna work for the duration of the time we needed.
One of our grants went to Airbnb.org.
And so we did not have to pay anything out of pocket. They were able to find a home that was within our jobs, our daycare and everything. And so we were actually lucky enough that the owner was a grandma. And so she had everything we needed: high chairs, baby gates, cribs. And so that was, you know, we were very fortunate for that. We didn't have to worry about our stay during the time that, you know, we needed to focus on our house being repaired. For sure was like a relief. That's what it is, like relief. That, you know, after such a tragedy happens, you know, knowing that Airbnb.org is up to step up and help families. This wasn't a day to night fixing, but we were basically patient and just thankful.
Sure, you know, after all this happened, we just appreciate our home more than, you know, maybe than what we used to.
As a first-time witness, I could say, is that the money that was donated is helping families.
If you look right here, this is what happened. This is what we're trying to recover from. The amount of soil taken away from the roots of this big cypress tree, the gravel's gone.
We also know that the river needs a lot of work and a lot of restoration. So we're, again, working with professionals, super smart people in the field that know how to repair.
You see these old Christmas trees that are lined up in rows. This is a drainage area, and that debris will help during rainfall events, help this drainage area from getting a ditch. We've also reseeded this area with a wildlife, the kind of native grass mix, and the trees will help protect that a little bit. Our goal is to come back in and plant new trees. And here it looks like we have a cedar elm, 2 cedar elms that have been planted. There's some black willows coming up and some sycamores coming up with that, and the leaves were already growing, so that works. There's a willow right here. It's really doing really well. Our goal is to get as much vegetation planted at the lowest possible cost.
As if we don't restore the river and take measures, many of these other measures won't be as effective. We want to make sure folks know that we want them to come back. We want people who live here year-round to enjoy the river.
So it's been a big collaborative effort. And we're using this really as an educational tool because there will be other disasters, we know that. But getting the community involved in the recovery of the vegetation, we think is a great model to move forward with. So I think everyone across the state's really, glad to see and supportive of what we're trying to do here in Kerr County, and I think it's going to make a difference.
The sound of helicopters coming over, because they would go right down this way, back and forth, back and forth. You don't listen to that sound the same way anymore. It's hard. I was sitting on the back porch here one day and I was tired, I was exhausted, 12 hours a day for 7 days a week, and I was just at a low point. And I walked on the back patio and sat down on that metal chair and I looked out across the river, and there's this tree and there's this cross out of limbs. And I sat there and of course I cried to myself, and I thought, thank you, Lord, for giving me a sign that that river is, as sad as it is, you're blessing it still. We received donations from people, from individuals across the country, and it was amazing, but I knew it was going to cost us, my pricing was about $1.5 million to get us all back up and running.
There were a lot of things people did proactively to take care of their own needs. And so we've realized recently that just because someone acted quickly, that isn't a reason to not be able to provide some resources in a reimbursement type way. So our Unmet Needs Fund will help with a number of those types of reimbursements to folks who acted quickly, but now are realizing that their resources maybe are a little thinner than what they should be.
Community Foundation, they started giving their gifts and their donations away, and I knew there would be a time that we would be on their list. And I was really happy when that time came, because it was at a point in time I needed to pay some bills and with construction. So that was very helpful. And I just feel so honored that they understand what we do here and what we do means to so many people. That first day they came back in the Friendship Cafe, we had meatloaf. I told the cook, I said, I want meatloaf on that first day. We're gonna bring the people back with meatloaf. And I said to one of my staff, I said, you know what, look at their faces. They they're not the same. They're not the same. Some of them have aged. Some of them look so sad. Some of them, they really missed out on that interaction. And I said, it's time. We are good. We are back. This is an important time for us to be together because these people have been really struggling. We've been blessed by the Community Foundation. Our community has been blessed by all of the donors across the world and the country. It's brought our family is back together. And I have seen them open up their arms to not want to be isolated again and don't want anyone else to be isolated. Yeah, a happy place. That's what I want it to be.
The land here is welcoming. It's a place of connection. It's a place of adventure. It's a place of awe. It's a place of peace. And we want to encourage everyone to come here and experience this region in the way that we do. I'm Julie Davis. I'm the president and CEO of the Kerrville Convention and Visitors Bureau. The businesses need our visitors. Visitation, tourism, hospitality is our second largest employer here and a really significant economic driver.
This recovery is going to take years. If you look at the statistical data out there about business recovery, it's alarming. You may have a business that is owned and operated and then it does come back 2 or 3 years later, but it's not under the same ownership. It's not the same type of business. So our goal is to not lose existing business and support those businesses.
People returning and visiting this area, it's vitally important to our economy. In Kerrville alone, it typically generates over 1/3 of our sales tax. And sales tax is what, is paving your roads and paying police and fire, right? So if you don't have visitors return, an entire region is gonna suffer.
Kerrville has always been a tourist destination. Yes, there was a lot of damage, but please come back.
We want you to come see us. We are ready for you. We are open for business. We need you. We'd be blessed to have you within our community and would love to share our stories with you.
The town, the community, and the river are still here and it's still very enjoyable.
I do feel hopeful. I've seen a good response from the public, even on our social media and our messaging that we've been putting out. Everyone has been very kind and thoughtful and supportive, and they want to help this community recover and rebound.
I think it's completely different now, and I feel like the community has gotten stronger. They've helped everyone out, and so it's a nice place to come and visit.
It takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of care, and it takes a lot of hours to make sure that rebuilding from a tragedy like this is moving forward and they're making progress. And I think we're seeing that on the ground in Kerrville.
I think it's well on the way to being restored.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You can never overcome the loss of the lives.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cavalier, but I think of that quite often.
The vision of what hope looks like and what you try to instill in those that you're trying to help, it's that internal feeling that they know there will be a tomorrow is bound by our community resilience.
Resilience is the thing that you choose. Resilience is an attribute that we look at and we have to decide to be resilient.
It's made the community become closer, and we do have Kerrville Hill Country Strong. It really is not a motto. It's a commitment to each other, and that's fueled and empowered by the outside groups that are helping us.
It's not just the hope we have here, but it's the hope that the world has brought us.
Because we're all in this together in Kerr County, but the donors outside of Kerr County are the ones that are truly helping us continue to recover daily.
A person can't understand the loss. They get a check to help you do things. They're monetary things, but they're helpful and they're hopeful.
And as we continue through this recovery, I don't think there's a single individual, a single citizen within this county that doesn't have hope for a greater tomorrow and the resilience that we will build back better, because we're proving our energies are put towards one another.
Hope is here, for sure. I know in some situations you might feel like hope is so far away, but in reality it's not, you know, and hope is really just our community coming together. That I feel like that's, you know, truly what hope is, and it's not far.